30-year-old Amuchu, or Lamu, as she was known online, had hundreds of thousands of followers. She loved to share her rural life in the mountains of the Aba prefecture, a remote rural area in the southwestern Sichuan province in China. The area has a large number of ethnic Tibetans, like Lamu was. She had a very popular account on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. She had amassed more than 782,000 followers, and her videos were liked more than 6.3 million times. Her videos documented everything, from carrying heavy bags of produce up and down the steep mountains she lived in, to gardening and growing her own vegetables, to cooking traditional dishes on the open fire. She lip-synced to popular songs and loved to dance around. People loved her videos. She rarely wore makeup and always seemed extremely happy and authentic. But what her followers didn't see were her struggles behind the camera. Lamu's life, which looked so peaceful and happy, was anything but that. Lamu got married young, as is and was usual for women in that region. Lamu didn't pick her husband either, he got picked for her. Arranged marriages are still very much a done thing in that region too. Her husband's name was Tang Lu, and from the beginning their marriage was anything but happy. Tang Lu was abusive. He constantly abused Lamu, both mentally and physically. Nonetheless, Lamu stayed with her husband for many years, and the couple had 2 children. Until one day, Lamu couldn't take the constant abuse anymore. She went to the police multiple times, but each time they sent her away, telling her it was a family matter, and they wouldn't get involved. But Lamu had had enough. She filed for divorce, and it was granted in June of 2020. Lamu and her children moved back to her dad's farm. She could finally be at peace and be truly happy. Some of her followers even commented that Lamu looked happier and seemed more at ease. But this peaceful life would only last for 3 months. On September the 14th in 2020, Lamu was doing a live stream on the popular platform Douyin. Thousands of her followers had turned up to watch it. Unbeknownst to all of them, Lamu's husband had sneaked himself into the mountain village and into Lamu's house. He only brought 2 things with him: gasoline and a lighter. While Lamu was busy and distracted with talking to her viewers, Tang Lu snuck up behind her. Before she could react, he poured the entire canister of gasoline over her, and without hesitation, lit her on fire. All of this was watched by thousands of people, and even worse, Lamu's family. The last thing her viewer witnessed were Lamu's screams before the screen turned black. This of course led to hundreds of phone calls to the emergency services, who rushed to Lamu's location. All the while, Tang Lu just stood there and watched the mother of his children burn alive, screaming in pain. When the emergency service finally arrived, more than 90% of Lamu's body had been burned. She was immediately sent to the local hospital and later transferred to a specialized hospital in the Sichuan province, where she was put on life support. And she would live for 2 more weeks before she died. She never woke up again. The doctors kept her in a coma because no amount of pain medication would have stopped her from feeling the excruciating pain of 90% of her skin being burned off. Her family had asked for help paying the hospital bills, and they raised more than $100,000 within a few days. All of this, as you can imagine, caused a huge outcry. China had been struggling with dealing with domestic violence against women for decades. In fact, China did not criminalize domestic violence until 2016. But that didn't solve the problem, especially in rural areas like the one Lamu lived in. The authorities in these small villages see it as a family matter, one in which they, under no circumstances, should get involved, until it's too late. But Lamu's followers wanted justice, and they caused such a huge ruckus on China's social media platforms that the hashtags used were censored. And while the Chinese government is trying to put a stop to the violence against women, it's rarely doing anything for women in rural towns. These women are still suffering, with 1 in 4 married women experiencing physical violence in their relationships. The UN did a survey where half the interviewed men from rural towns admitted to having used physical and sexual violence against women. But Tang Lu would not get away with what he did. He got arrested shortly after the crime had happened. He got put in front of court, and they wanted to make an example out of him. He was sentenced to death, and he was executed this month. He never apologized or showed any signs of regret. The court stated that his crime was extremely cruel, and the social impact was extremely bad. What's left now are 2 children without parents and thousands of people that had to watch someone being burned alive. All the while, thousands of women are still suffering in silence.